4-pin record. Great Biletnikoff coming up. Hey, Coach Freddie V.
How are you? How you doing? All right?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm doing even better now that I got you on the line. I called you. I think I called you. I called the house last night.
Yeah. You got a hold of my wife, Angela. Yep. Yeah, because I was probably already in bed. You know, when you get old as me, you know, you got to get to bed earlier so you can get up early.
That's all them Oakland Raider days out there.
Well, you know, hey, listen, every once in a while I can still run with the best of them. Don't worry about that.
I never had a chance to tell you, you know, how much I appreciated you, how much I loved you. You always know you were my idol, and I always looked up to you as far as the receiver thing was concerned. But the way you beat people and scored touchdowns, being so graceful, and then the coach for over 20 years in the National Football League for the Oakland Raiders, and had the opportunity to coach Tim Brown and other receivers that came through there. It was an honor just to be in your presence when I was there. I always wanted to tell you that.
Well, let me tell you something. You're a hell of a player. Believe me. I tell you what. When they mention receivers, your name always comes up. And I'll tell you what. You know what? I'll tell you. You know, I wish I had spent my whole career with you and your whole career with me, because I'll tell you what. You're something on that football field. I really mean that from my heart too. Believe me. I enjoyed being around you and watching you a lot. Believe me.
I appreciate that, Coach. I really do. I can recall that one time I dropped the ball, and I think we were playing Kansas City, and we had came up with a new play. And for some reason, I didn't use my hands. I came to the sideline, and you let me have it. you said, Tony, you got the best hands I ever seen. And I'm looking at you, and I'm like, Freddie Biletnikoff just told me I had the best hands I ever seen. He was like, use your hands. I tell my mom about that all the time.
You know what? I'll tell you what. The other day, Angela and I were talking about that same play. And I go, damn him. I said, I'll tell you what, man. I said, you know, had everything. I said, that was something right there. I said, and it was not even like him. I remember after the ball game, I told her, I go, like, my head was down. I go, God, man. I said, I'll tell you what, you know, that guy, he makes those plays. I watched him make plays like that with those other teams. And I said, it's just one of those things, man. You turn away. You know, it happens to everybody. It's happened to me. It happened to everybody. Believe me. But I'll tell you what. Listen, that play, you know, whatever happened on that play. But I'll tell you what. I saw you make some great plays with us, man. I'll tell you what. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I wish we could have won the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, we fell a game short, and then you guys got a chance to go the following year and ended up playing against John Gruden in the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. And that joker got out of there with a win, huh?
Oh, I'll tell you what, he escaped. He escaped, believe me. But I'll tell you what, you know, what was lack, you know, I mean, we had some things go wrong right away, and, you know, in those type of games, as you know, you've been in them, believe me. And, you know, I've seen you play in those big games and come up with some of them big plays, and, you know, it just didn't work that day. It was just a complete struggle from the beginning. And I tell you, it's too bad, because I tell you what, you know, everybody worked so hard to get there, and to kind of just have that game get out of control like it did. And then, you know, we made a run a little bit in the fourth quarter, and then still had an outside chance. You know, then a couple things went wrong, and you know, as you know, but as well as I do, you know, when you're trying to catch up, if things don't completely go right for you, you're never going to catch up, and you know, you could beat yourself around and work like hell to get back into the game. But man, I'll tell you what, it all got to go right, and that day it just didn't go right.
You're perfectly right. I want to thank you too for backing me on my academy, and I can't wait to get up with you and travel across the country and let these young youth receivers across the country get an opportunity to meet you and learn some of the things that I teach. I teach everything that you taught me, and I teach it in a fast way, and I teach it in a way that is receptive, but yet it's very professional. And I learned from watching you. I watched you since I was 13, 14 years old, and even when I got in the pros, I continued to watch you, and I can't wait to get on the road with you and just have you come to some of these events and just speak to some of these kids. I had a chance to coach 9 All-Americans last year. Some of the guys played in the U.S. Army All-American game. Some played in other All-Star games. But I just did a deal with Max M. Fingerball, which Max actually is going to be behind closed doors and is inviting Andre Rison and the great Fred Biletnikoff to now have their first annual high school game, All-American game coming up this year. And I'm just looking forward to being able to work with you after football.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. You know something. Angela told me all about that, and I was so excited because when I saw you a couple years ago and I watched you out on the field coaching, you do a great job with these kids. You know, and the big thing about it that I really was impressed with the fact that you have a good rapport with the kids. You know, you have a closeness with them, a good, a personal closeness with them, and they gravitate right to you, and then watching you and watching the drills and what you're teaching, I'll tell you what, it was really impressive. And then when Angela told me about, what we're going to be doing this year, I'll tell you, I can't wait. It's going to be fun. We'll have a good time. We'll have a terrific time. We'll have some laughs.
You just be the great one that you are, and we'll do all the work. And you've done enough work in the National Football League, also on the collegiate level, especially with the Fred Biletnikoff Award, the most prestigious award you can win in college football at the wide receiver position. Some great players have won it. And, unfortunately, I went to a running school, and I got started catching the ball late. But I wanted to win it. I did.
Well, I'll tell you what. I still remember you when you played down there in that Hula Bowl, and I'll tell you what. When I saw you there, and I'll tell you what. It wasn't until years later I got a chance to be with you on a personal basis. Working with you with the years at the Raiders there with you. But I'll tell you what. It's like I always told Al Davis when I saw you when you're just before you're coming out, you're playing an All-Star game. I said, that kid is just unbelievable, man. It's just unbelievable, Listen, I saw it firsthand when you were in Oakland, and you cut that ball right down the seam for the touchdown in the back of the end zone down there by the black hole, man. Hey, I remember that. I go like this. And stayed in on the end line. That was excellent. God, I'll tell you what, that's impressive.
That was Monday night.
Yeah, it was Monday night.
I didn't want to do it because I love the Raiders. I'm a Fred Biletnikoff fan, so I did not. Al Davis fan. I did not. John Madden fan. I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it. I had played a bad game, my first game as a Chief up in Denver, and I let one get up. And also, I had some great guests on here, but none like Fred Biletnikoff.
Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that a lot. Believe me.
So, like you used to tell me, like, you can't keep running that route like that. Why don't you try this and add that with it and end up in the same place? That's the way. That's the report that I love that we had. You gave me an opportunity to tell me, like, you can't keep running that route like that. Why don't you try this and add that with it and end up in the same place? That's the way. That's the report that I love that we had. You gave me an opportunity to express my talent. And I wish we could have played together, and you could have coached me my whole career. And hopefully, maybe one day, I'll be able to put a yellow jacket on and sit next to you somewhere.
I do too. That'd be great. That'd be great.